Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here, as we kind of got choppy right there. Now, starting off, notice we have this measured move down, so it's two perfect measured legs. It's near perfect measured. And then we just have a very strong spike pushing out of that area. It does stall at the EMA before making a second leg up. Of course, you can see there's two legs making up this one larger leg. But these measured move levels are very important. Look at that reaction to it there, which of course was also off the overnight low. Now, no reversal entry here. I'd like to see a reversal pattern of failed second entry, but unfortunately just was too choppy and we continue on higher. And so now we have this uptrend and a break, except you see how we have this two-legged break here. So it's a first entry long, second entry long, and then we just rush above the EMA. Very strong bar. We can expect a new high for this uptrend. Also with the range rules, when you come off one side of a range, in this overnight levels, they act as a range. You can expect price to attempt to reach the other side. And just like we had two legs reaching down this way, we can expect two legs back up. And so with this two-legged break, not only are we playing these range rules, we can also expect a new high for this uptrend. And we are clearly having a very strong reaction, pushing higher there. Unfortunately, I was out of the room. I was probably making coffee or something, and this happened without me. But anyway, we push on up here, and then here we pull back again. We hold off this trend line. And so at this point, this measured move has a first attempt to reach it, and then here we get the second attempt. So with these measured moves, it's not just about two legs up. You also have to take the measured move into play here, and consider that it's going to try to reach it, and it will often make two attempts. And if it doesn't reach it after two attempts, then it'll often act as a failure. And clearly, we did have a very strong push down. So this really did fire off like a failure. It actually turned into a whole downtrend, basically for the rest of the day, although we are kind of starting to push back up now. So where was I? Right here. So anyway, at this point, the reason I have this area marked is because it's kind of a conflicting area. Because if you take away this trend line, it might look like uptrend, break, two attempts at a new high, failure, and then a lower high. And that is technically true. However, you do have to account for this. And we did have three bounces. It's fitting pretty clearly. It's fitting too clearly to ignore. And so this could act as a break and one attempt at a new high. Now, like I said, this failure did just happen. However, we did, after that failure, we did have quite a pushback above the EMA, rejecting it a couple times in there. And then even when we ticked higher than this green bar here, it didn't trap down immediately as if it was continuing this failure. And so it was just too many conflicting things. Like I said, this uptrend right here, this wider one, could easily be in play, and we could possibly get another attempt at a new high. And say we did, that wouldn't be surprising either after this failure, because then it would kind of form a bigger picture failed second entry. But so it's just one of those areas that there's too many conflicting things, but I see why it appeals to some people. But I did skip out on that area just because of the conflicting things. So anyway, we push on lower here. I drew out this wider, I drew out this range here, although it didn't last long. It kind of looked like it was going sideways. It had some reactions to it. But we pushed on out of there, and notice we get these couple legs down. At this point here, if we had pushed above, this would be a good area to look for a failed second entry to fade up here, because you can see those two legs down, but we do end up just holding on that EMA and also on this these lows here, and we just continue down. And so this arrow right here, what that is about is let me just copy that over to here. So on a big picture, even though these two legs are very clearly separated, on a bigger picture, it'll be one leg. Notice how we have, it pushes on through, is very bearish, but you notice the reaction right to that measured move. So sometimes these measured moves can be, they can be a little bit more hard to spot, especially when you're drawing a leg and it's clearly two legs, but on a bigger picture, you zoom out, it looks more like one leg, and it will act that way. So even if it doesn't look super clear like one leg, you gotta experiment with it, or otherwise, otherwise you're not gonna get it. And it is very important to see bigger picture measured moves. So, for example, just like you see here with these two legs, On a bigger picture, you know, this clearly, like I was saying, it's forming into one trend, which is basically one leg. So even though you have a more significant break here than you did on this uptrend, it still counts as one leg on a bigger picture. So anyway, we end up pushing on through that measured move level. We only get a small reaction. And then here, I started drawing out this wider channel, which at first it was more like this, right off of that high right there, starting from here. And it fit pretty well on here. Although as I extended the high, I did move the low as well, but we'll get into that in a sec. So we had this, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to, where did I go? There we go. So, where was I here? Yeah, we pushed lower here. Now, this low fits very well with this high, and we bounce off the low here. Now, when you come off one side of a channel, and this also applies to ranges, when you come off one side, you can expect price to reach the other side. Just like I was saying on these ranges here, you can expect two legs to the other side. You want to see two attempts to reach the other side of the channel before you enter along with the channel. So we only have one attempt right here, and we kind of just drop on down, and then it's getting sideways, so I wouldn't take anything in here, and you know, it's clearly forming something like this right here, so I wouldn't take any of these shorts right here. But eventually we have this break, and we start pushing to a new low, and I see how, you know, I see how it fits when I extend it, and I extend these lows, and they still fit. So to me, it just looks like a wider channel is coming into play. And so you see here, we finally get two clear legs to the key entry point. You know, you know, I noticed someone, or I believe I saw someone like this right here, but this is just a first entry. So, you know, unfortunately, that's not something I would be willing to take. But right here, notice we have two clear legs to the key entry point. Strong reaction. Now, it was a little bit weird how I got filled because it went pretty close to the target before using a limit order and coming back. Usually, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't enter with a limit order when it gets that close. But considering it's holding off this key entry point on a second entry, sharp push down, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a second leg down. And of course, to get filled on the on this pullback, you know, I would know that there would be a break from this leg, possible second leg down there, and so the context was good for it. So I didn't mind, even though the price had already come close to the target. You know, unfortunately, I noticed a couple people commented to me. They said that they had entered a little bit higher up and they got their target tapped, and then they got out at break even when it pulled back. So, you know, sometimes that stuff happens, but don't let it discourage you. And also, if you get your target tapped and it starts pulling back, you know, if you're confident you took a good trade, I would avoid trying to get out at break even if you are getting pulled back or getting a pullback after your target was tapped but not filled. So, you know, sometimes it can be hard to do that, but, you know, and I understand, but, you know, I talked a lot about psychology yesterday, so if you didn't see that, maybe you can go look at that video. But anyway, we push on lower here, and, oh, excuse me. So we get this break, we push on lower, we get this break. You can kind of see those two legs forming this larger leg, and notice how, you know, you get a pretty significant break and a push to a new low here. But on an even bigger picture, you can tell that this is really just all part of the same move down, including this break and push to a new low. And so here, notice you get this two-legged break. You know, we bounce off of it. We end up pushing higher here. But the point is, this is a bigger picture break for this downtrend. Even though you see that here, it's clearly part of the same move. We get a two-legged break here. We could have easily gotten a failed second entry pushing down off this level here because we already had a strong reaction to it. But, you know, looks like we had something kind of moving up here. Didn't quite reach it, but there's something bullish going on. So anyway, the point is this looks like a good area to look for a reversal pattern down given that two-legged break, but unfortunately nothing sets up as a short in this area here. So anyway, I kind of lost where I was. I didn't mean to skip ahead. Where was I? Yeah, right here. So after we get this break, we start pushing lower. I didn't like any entries in here. You know, you can kind of see this failed second entry. You have this first entry long, second entry long failure, but it was getting pretty sideways, you know, kind of choppy like that, so I didn't want to enter on any of that. But we do push on lower here, make this new low. I drew out this range because it was kind of going sideways in this area, although it didn't hold for long. We had another test down here, but it really wasn't a confirmed range. We only had one off this one and then already had a huge break, broke out those highs before confirming, and then only had one retest there. But anyway, after we make that new low, we start pushing back in. This would be a good place for a reversal pattern, because if this low could reconfirm with a clear hold on a failed second entry, then absolutely we could look to do a reversal, because this downtrend did just have a break in a new low. And like I said, you can expect bigger picture breaks for it. And so you can actually look to take a long to get bigger picture breaks, because price action levels, it's one level at a time. So even though on if this is more smaller picture break in new low, since you can expect larger breaks, you can still take a reversal as soon as it happens. But unfortunately, we do not get a setup for it. It just gets way too choppy here. Then we push on up here, and then there's really no entries on the way up. It just gets choppy, doesn't reach the EMA. Clearly all in this one leg here. You don't want to go short. It didn't hold on any resistance, and it's just one leg up there. And then we kind of just plummet down. Even when we close down here, it's a strong move, but you don't know it's going to continue down from there. I would want something like a failed second entry to look for a short fading this range here, but we really just don't get anything. And then when we bounce here, one leg down, absolutely no way that you can take that safely. But we do push on up here very strong. It kind of just went wild there, push up, push down, push up, no entries. But this measured move has formed at this point, and it's a little bit easier to see after we start ticking off there. You can draw this measured move up, and so that's when it's getting a little bit more clear that you're getting a two-legged break. And so with this measured move up, you can still look for a long to reach that measured move, but I really didn't like anything on the way up. Today was just a one-trade day. It was just getting a little bit choppy, and then we would have this first entry here. Of course, the first entry is not enough. Then we push up again, new high, first entry here. Even though we have a strong push higher there, I would want to enter on something more than just a first entry. And it's not like it's a good breakout pullback necessarily, because this level has not been consistent at all. So just because it holds right there and pushes up on a first entry doesn't mean I'm going to be entering it. But we do push up, we reach that measured move, and like I was saying earlier, this would have been a great place to look for a failed second entry, but it for whatever reason just spikes back up, retests the overnight high, or excuse me, the overnight low. And so even this, there's still a chance, but it's just getting so choppy already that it looks like that chance is kind of going away for a clear entry. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me try to see one more thing. I want to draw it with a channel tool here, see how the highs are holding. The highs are holding pretty well there. So, we'll see what happens when you come off one side of a channel, just like I was saying. Over here, when you come off one side, you can expect price to make two attempts to reach the other side. So even though it's choppy, you can still see that leg down there. And absolutely, we can look to make another leg. So now we have this downtrend break, expecting a new low, coming off one side of a channel. So, we could get something pretty soon for a short, but it is getting very choppy here. So anyway, that's going to do it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.